Well, g'day everybody, Steve aka TUD, and welcome to episode 1 of Toyz. Now, as it's the first episode in what I hope will be a bigger series, I better start with my truck, which is the 200 series. You've seen this truck before, and
hang on, who's 200?
What?
Who's 200?
Oh, alright, who's 200? Alright, your 200 series. Okay, it's her truck. Karen owns this.
Hi,
not
everyone.
really me. This is Karen, EK2ZKG. You've seen her occasionally on clips, but yes, it is her car, not mine. She lets me drive it, if I'm lucky sometimes. Alrighty, as it's her car, I'm going to step away from the camera and let her tell us all about it.
Okay, that got rid of him. Hello and welcome. This is our 200, as I like to call it. Well, first up, we have an ARB Deluxe bull bar with driving lights, winch, antenna at the front of it. We have eBay special of our LED spotlights, which work really well. We've done an LED upgrade on the driving lights as well. We have a UHF antenna at the front. Upgraded the headlights to LEDs, high and low beam and parkers. We have LED spotlights, just as good as the really named and red ring ones. We also have a Magnum worn winch at the front as well. Around to the side here, we have our rock sliders, rock armour sliders. As far as we know, they're the only ADR approved rock sliders for the 200 series. We have them. We are supposed to have side rails. They are supposed to be here. Hopefully we'll get them very shortly. We're waiting on a shipment. Come along to the rear, we have a Rhino roof rack, which is the tradies rack, with our 30-second wind awning here, which I'm sure you've seen before, but we'll show you in a minute what it's like. The rear here, we have a Kmart rear bar, which allows us to put our HF antenna on the back here. Custom made bracket with this custom made jerry holder as well. We went for this way because we prefer the jerry cans to be north-south this way instead of east-west that way. So we think that's a better option. Of course, we've gone from the one wheel, our wheel bag, the Kmart LED camping light, as well as a reverse light. It works both ways. We're going to get a brand new snorkel very shortly. We're going for the AIM Armex, which is a 4-inch intake instead of just a standard, so it allows more airflow into the 200, because she's starving for air at the moment. So that's the basic rundown on the 200, but since it's our vehicle, I know Steve is dying to tell you the rest. We'll switch places and he can tell you the rest.
Well, that was short-lived. Apparently she doesn't like being in front of the camera as much as she likes being behind it. Anyway, got to have the sunnies on because it's bloody bright. Sorry about that, but anyhow, where were we? Mention this, alright. You mentioned the snorkel, up the top. We have the Rhino rack, tradie platform as she said. We've got 2 antennas on folding mounts. Those two double up some of the ovens, but what they are, this one is a dual band amateur antenna made by Icon because I'm an amateur radio operator. The one on the far side is a GME Electrophone UHF burial. Now I've got that on there, and I've got one down on the bull bar as well because we run 2 radios. We'll get to that shortly. Also, the obligatory stealthy shovel, painted black to match the car, because why wouldn't you? So that pretty well covers most of the outside stuff. I run a range of antennas on the bull bar. This one's the short one, the one around here that Karen briefly touched on. That's a little 2 dB GME. I've got a 4 dB GME, it's grey, it's 3 times the length. And then I've got one that's 2 metres long with 8.8 dB for when we're in the outback. I'll explain more about that kind of stuff when we get inside. I think we'll do the engine bay next, so I'll just get the bottom. Alrighty, in the engine bay, not a lot has really changed. Got the factory D4D twin turbo V8 diesel, 4.5 litre, beautiful motor. At the present time it's fairly standard, although it has got a 3.5 inch Taipan Sports exhaust connected to it, gives it around about 10% more power. Start battery, nothing special there, although I have got a swag of stuff mounted on the battery terminal, so much so that that cover doesn't fit. And look, Toyz don't want. Anyhow, hopefully you can hear me over that. He'll fly away. Over here, nothing too exciting. Alright, that should be quiet enough, hopefully. Over here we've mounted the secondary fuel filter. The factory filter's here. The secondary one here is a 5 micron filter. Just double the protection for the fuel. You know, these are very expensive injectors, you've got to look after them. I've made up this bracket, and that holds our Coupler-Tech rust prevention system. So hopefully it'll never rust. That's just a circuit breaker. Oh, that's what I forgot to mention. Why have I got a circuit breaker here? Because down on the bull bar, we've got a couple of Anderson plugs. They go to each battery. That one goes to the start battery. There's one on the other side. Right there. It goes to the accessory battery. Speaking of accessory battery, here it is, just a deep cycle. There's another circuit breaker somewhere in there for it. And that runs everything in the back. Up here, Provent catch can to keep all that muck and crap out of intake. And to manage the whole thing, down there, I don't know if you can get it, but down there, there's a red BCDC battery charger. Just a 1220, 20 amp charger, that's all we need. That manages the whole front end, so there's not much to it. As I already mentioned, the fact that we've got LED headlight conversion, there's relays and stuff mounted in there for that. The engine bay's a bit grotty, but it's not a showpiece. We drive it, so it happens. Alright, the next thing we'll probably get to will be the storage system at the back. We forgot the part that everybody loves to know about, the tyres. 285/75 R17 Cooper ST Maxes. They're a 50% or 50/50 all-terrain. This is my 5th set across the various vehicles I've had. I think they're fantastic tyre, good all-purpose tyre. They're on a set of CSA Raptors 17x8, which I just think are a great looking wheel. They're alloy. I've always run steel in the past, but we're giving alloy a run this time. Hopefully that should serve us pretty well, but they haven't been a problem so far. We've had them on for 2.5 years and they've been pretty good. Those tyres have got about 40,000 k on them and they're still like new. Alright, into the storage system. This is one of my favourite parts. Okie dokie. Now, there's a dirty great gap here. That's where the CFX50 fridge usually goes. Now you've seen a previous video I think where the fridge was in it, so I don't need to tell you too much. This is a drifter draw system using the inbuilt drifter slider rather than the aftermarket one. I've got the lead for the Waco hardwired in here. You can see where that goes a little bit later on. So the it just stays there nicely under the slide, doesn't get in the way of anything. Got the standard drifter draw set. This one holds all the tools, just a few zip ties. Literally that's full of tools. Anybody who's seen drifter drawers before knows they don't use roller runners, they just slide on Teflon. This one's got some more tools, but mostly it's the camping gear, like the little stove. This is what we like to call the go box. That's full of cutlery and utensils. We keep saucers down in alongside it, just for when we're cooking on the side of the road. We can cook on the back of the truck, very easy. Down the side, literally just storage. These boxes, the lids lift up. Not much to show you there except for some wiring and some spare parts. I won't pull those up. Same on this side. Drifter supplied this fantastic table, which we could use in a multitude of layouts. Anybody who's ever seen a drifter table before knows they come right out. They've got legs on them. I won't set it up now. They've got legs on them, and it becomes another table, and it will adjust quite happily to the height of the tailgate, so I can make an L-shaped cooking area. Or I can pull it out this far, work on it here, when the fridge is out, put stuff straight on the fridge into that. As part of this, we cook at night. So, I've wired up an LED strip light. I don't know how that's going to go on the camera during the daytime, but that's just an LED strip light, just a cheapo one, probably 4-wheel drive super center. Just wired up a few toggle switches in here, or rocker switches. That one runs the light. This one here runs power to that Edison plug in case I want to plug in anything else. Here come the boys again. They're loud buggers, but we live near a rat base. I'd rather they were up there doing what they do, keeping us safe, and not be up there. Alright, probably forgot to mention the wheel bag. It's just a Black Widow bag. Unfortunately, Black Widow seem to not exist anymore. It's a great bag. I like these vinyl ones that sit over the tyre. They don't move. All those other ones are straps to things. They're likely to slide around, fall under the wheel. Really gives me the shits. Really, really does. So I've gone for the Black Widow bag. I had this one modified because it used to hang down a bit lower and it got in the way of a tail light. So I've actually had this one shortened a little bit just to protect it. And of course to take our rubbish home. Not to mention it's good for your snatch straps, wet recovery gear, wet boots, whatever. Alright, we'll go into the cab I guess. What we've got in there is a whole bunch of things. Little iDrive throttle controller, so we get more responsive pedal. We've got the EDS scan tool. I may replace that later with a scan gauge or an ultra gauge, but for the time being it's not too bad, shows you the things you need. Down here, UHF number 1, this is the one that's connected to the roof. Little GME, it's enough of that. Truckies, I use that one for our convoy work and for all our outback travel. This is the microphone down here. It lives down here on the floor for my HF radio, which is an IC7000. I'm an amateur, as I've said before. It does all things HF in the world of amateur bands. I could use it for distress if need be. The other one on the console there, that's a Yaesu FT8900R quad band amateur radio for VHF, UHF and the top of HF. So it's just part of my other hobbies. So around the other side we'll get to in a moment. Okay, in the truck, there's the second UHF, that's your little Uniden. Not sure what model it is, it's an 8080. That does all the secondary UHF CB stuff. The iPhone just happens to live nicely here, and it plugs into the Polaris. Now Polaris is using the HEMA off-road maps, so that's what we're going to be using on our outback excursion later in the year for the off-road mapping. And for on-road, we just run a little Garmin. I really can't remember the model number of it. I don't think it matters. It's a Garmin, has to be good. Pretty well nothing else is really done in here. Microphone pops out for the UHF down there on that one. There will be some future mods over here underneath the GoPro, but looks at me sometimes. I've got a pillar pod, it's waiting for the gauges. Now obviously the gauges are not there, and they won't be there for a little while, but it's waiting for the gauges. It will eventually have the dual battery gauge and for the twin voltmeters, 2 current meters, and the obligatory pyro and boost gauges. That should pretty well cover that. Now down into the console, nothing special other than I've got a little console bucket, eBay jobby. It's actually designed for a Sahara, but it just fits in there. 200s have got this anyway. I'll just give you another bit of storage. We run on the seats. We've got wet seat covers, custom made to sit the 200 seats. Karen, because she's a bit gentle and delicate, has a little sheepskin seat cover on hers because she doesn't want to hurt her frail body. Okay. On the floor we run 3D fitted floor mats. Nothing too special in those, but they've been keeping the mud out for a while. I was going to get sand grabbers, but I wound up with those. In the passenger side door pocket we've got an air deflator from ARB. I keep another one that's a different brand in the driver's side pocket. Glove box is all standard stuff. So that pretty well covers the front. Now I'll get into the back where all the magic happens that powers the radios and where all the custom wiring lives. Comfortable, as you'd expect. I haven't found a home for the fire extinguisher yet. So for the time being, it literally just lives there at the back of the seat. We know where it is. When there's gear packed around it, it's fairly solid, still accessible. Just grab the passenger back door, open up and grab it. Up here on the cargo barrier, we have this ancient 300 watt pure sine wave inverter. Had it forever and a day. It was in our patrol. It's now in this. It's just zip tied to the cargo barrier. It works well. Old as the hills. Up the top here on the cargo barrier, all extension speakers for the radio gear. Why 4? Well, there's 4 radios, and I've never seen a radio yet that I believe sounds as good as it should. So extension speakers, that's pretty well it. This one's going to go soon. Another one like this is going to go over here. Cosmetically look better, plus this one doesn't work properly. You get that on the big jobs. Now the fun stuff. Look at that, camera girl in action, putting the seat up. Hey, how good is she? Right in the back here, this is where things happen. I carry some of the recovery gear, that's snatch strap, winch extension strap. When I'm actually using it, it doesn't live there anymore, it goes behind the seat or something. Okay, after a change of cameras, because the other one's bloody battery's gone flat, so I don't know what the quality is like, hopefully it's okay. Anyway, in the back I carry some other antennas. This is the UHF reel that's quite often on the roof, because it's just a little bit thicker and stronger than the one that's up there now. The one I run up there at the present cosmetically looks like the other one. Spare rabbitary antennas. You know, you can break aerials pretty easily, so they just live there in the back. But here's all where the fun starts. Over here is a Nava fuse box that I fitted myself. I wired all this myself, by the way. Everything you see is because of my silliness. That Nava fuse box is powered from each battery. The start battery controls the radio equipment, these four. The accessory battery controls the aftermarket lighting in the back, the fridge power. Now, on the fridge, I think I told you before, it's hardwired. Well, it is. It runs out of the battery, out of the fuse panel, I should say, disappears into this mess of wires, and goes through the wall there and underneath the fridge slide. So that's the reasoning for that. Just leave the hardwire in there. Now, these radios, probably not going to mean much to you. That's the HF set. That's the VHF UHF set. That's the Uniden. That's the little GME. Now, as you can see, they've all got speakers, but if you don't have extension speakers plugged in, they're rubbish. So that's the most fun part of a truck, in my opinion, is all that radio gear and the stupid amount of hours involved in doing that to try and make it look pretty. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this, because that pretty well covers it, but give me a second and I'll be back outside where you can see me in the sun. Okay, well, I hope you've enjoyed a quick look at my 200 series.
Oi!
Oh, sorry, our 200 series. She can't get in front of the camera, she just has to stay there. This has been the first one of a series that I hope I'll do plenty of. And if you enjoyed the video, oh, I've got to put the sunnies on, sorry guys. If you enjoyed this and the stuff I do, feel free to like and subscribe. Make any comments you want. If you've got any ideas as to how I can improve the 200, don't be nasty guys. Some of you might like other models, but let's face it, we're all different. If you've got any suggestions for improvements, let me know. And hopefully we'll catch up with you guys just a little bit later. Have a good one. Just a little bit more, shot on a different camera. Literally just to walk around Karen's 200 series. If I say it's mine one more time, she may shoot me. And look, just to prove it's her car, where is she? In the bloody driver's seat. Oh, now she's waving. Hey! Hey! Oh, you're shitting me. I guess I'm walking home. Oh well.